I know what you're thinking. You click this video and you're like, how to not be offended by anything and anyone? It sounds almost too good to be true. Is it really possible to not be offended by anyone and anything? Well, yes and no. Let me explain. It is very, very possible for you to not be offended by anything and anyone at any time. But, and there is a but, that doesn't mean that you don't still feel pain. It doesn't mean that you're not still a human being. You're a human. It's inevitable. You've heard me say this on this channel multiple times, that being a human being, it's impossible to be a human being and be devoid of pain. And pain is inevitable. Being a human being just comes with the territory. However, suffering is a choice. Now, what do I mean by that? What's the difference? Leave in the comment down below and let me know what your answer is to that. What do you think I mean when I say pain is inevitable and suffering is a choice? Go ahead, I'm waiting. Comment right now. I'm not going to start this video. I'm not going to give you all this gold until you give me a comment. And don't forget to smash that smasher. Okay, so what I mean by smash the smasher, if you're new to my channel, is smash that like button. Please go ahead and do that right now. So, three things. It's really three things that it comes down to. And yes, of course, you can still be offended. And yes, being a human being, you're not just gonna, it's a big kind of mesh of up and down. Life is kind of like this, but the way to kind of keep things steady and the way to keep things, at an even keel, and really this helps me and it's helped me be successful. This is our first vlog of 2020. And so I think this is going to be the most important video that's going to set the tone for the entire year. And really it comes down to this. It comes down to perspective, okay? It really comes down to perspective. That's what this whole thing is about. And so, in other words, when I say pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice, okay? When I say, I'm sorry for the camera bumping, son of a gun. This isn't as easy as you think it is, bro. When I say, I'm going to leave that crap in there. So when I say that pain is inevitable and that suffering is a choice, what I mean by this is there's a difference between stickiness and there's a difference between letting things just kind of flow or letting things take their natural course. That's what it really all comes down to. Don't forget those two things, stickiness and flow. It's all about stickiness and flow. And so what I mean by that, and I'm going to read all your comments. I respond to all the comments. I want you to let me know down below what you thought I meant when I said, pain is inevitable, suffering is a choice. Don't let things get too sticky. You're going to have bad days. You're going to have terrible moments. You're going to have frustrations. You're going to be depressed. You're going to be sad. You're going to have a lot of things happen to you, okay, that, okay, there's an old man right now in the middle of the street who just dropped. Number one, it comes with perspective. You have to understand that we all started out young. We all started out trying to figure out this thing called life. We all started out with conditions. We all started off with being exposed to things that we had no control over as kids, our parents, their influences, things like that. And, people usually react from this kind of epicenter. People usually react or take action based on things that they're conditioned to believe from their family, their parents, their environment, and so forth. And so this really is all the umbrella underneath perspective. And I know this is going to make a lot of sense in just a second, but this really at the root of this has everything to do with really understanding your fellow man, understanding your fellow woman, and being a human being and not reacting so much and not putting so much blame and judgment on people and their actions and how they react and how they respond to things, and that feelings are transient and that everything is transient. And so the first thing is understanding conditioning. The first thing is understanding that people are a kind of amalgamation of everything they've ever been influenced by when they were young. That's the first thing. The second thing is, and this all relates to each other. The second thing is, once you understand that people are people, and once you understand that they respond from a certain kind of vantage point that is beyond them. The second thing, this leads to what I call the art of forgiveness. Now, I know you heard a lot about forgiveness, and there's a ton of videos about this, and a lot of people have mixed emotions about what forgiveness really means, and is forgiveness something that we should even be, sometimes it feels like, why should I forgive this person, or why am I the one to always exhibit forgiveness? And it's not really something that I think anybody's really shed light on in a really powerful way. And I want to say this about forgiveness. Forgiveness is not letting the other person off the hook, okay? A lot of people think that forgiveness is letting the other person off the hook, that when you forgive someone, that what you're actually doing is saying, okay, I'm condoning their actions, or I am just not going to hold those people accountable for what they did or what they said, or whatever it is, whatever the insult or offense is. What people don't realize is forgiveness is for you. When you forgive someone, you're not letting them off the hook. You let yourself off the hook. That's the power of forgiveness. That's what forgiveness truly means. And so think of it as self-care. Think of it as scientifically dividing what's going to really allow me to move forward and what's going to hold me back. Because what happens when you allow people to offend you, when you allow people to enter your inner space, as Gandhi said, I don't let anybody walk through my mind with muddy footprints. When you allow people to have that kind of control, essentially what you're doing is you're living with that constant feeling of betrayal, upsetness, offense, insult, and it spreads to other people and it pollutes your present. So what happens is the past starts polluting the present because you're still thinking about that offense. You're still allowing that offense to live inside you. When you forgive, you're hiccuping that out. You're burping that out. You're not letting them off the hook. You're letting yourself off the hook. That's number 2. And it's a biggie. Let me know in the comments what you think of these so far. I got a sneeze. Bless me. Excuse me. I should keep that in there, shouldn't I? Number 3. Number 3 is something that I like to call seeing past the actions and feelings, seeing past the results of those conditions, and that everybody's just trying to do the best thing that they can do, that they think they should be doing. Because once you look at how, and this is, again, I separate these into 3 things, but they're really all just one big kind of cauldron of truth. Once you understand that people, are really, they're beholden to their background and their conditioning, and you've exercised the beautiful gift to yourself called forgiveness, and then you can look past these little moments that you think define who you are, these moments of anger, these moments of frustration, these moments of saying things that you didn't mean, or that person not saying what they meant. We've all been in these situations before. We've all had bad days. We've all said things that we didn't mean. We've all done things that we know we shouldn't have done. Seeing past, this is what I call the truth eye. The truth eye that lives deep inside everybody in those quiet moments when you don't let the feelings, you don't let anger, you don't let emotions just run amok inside you, but you actually take a step back, take a huge deep breath, take a couple actually, and try to see things as clearly as possible. Human beings are more myopic than you'll ever imagine. We think we see things that are truthful. We think we see a small glance or a murmur or whisper, and we turn those little murmurs and whispers into manifestos of destruction that never ever were real. They're just imagined. And so this kind of truthful looking, this truthful seeing, my God, then what happens is you see everything is unfolding the way that it should. Everything is happening the way that it should. I mean, you can't define somebody by one action. You can't blame somebody or stamp somebody for the rest of their life for one action. And I know what those of you out there, you're thinking the extremists, what about rapists, murderers, and all that? Yeah, I know, but when you try to logify the universe, when you try to make sense out of something that our brain cannot wrap its head around, that we didn't create all this stuff. We didn't create this entire world. We didn't create these planets, these stars, these molecules, these energies inside us, that even my brothers and sisters in prison and jail, again, this is not saying that you don't have anger. It's not saying that you don't have bad days. It's not saying that you don't get offended. You don't let it stick. There's a difference. And I'm trying to say that this whole video is all about helping you not let it get sticky. Of course you're going to get pissed off. Of course you're going to be offended. Of course you're going to experience times where you wish another human being would just fall into the earth, into a hot liquid magma of volcanic, magma. How many times can I say magma? One more time. Magma. And just incinerate themselves. Of course, we all have those days. But this is about peace, man. This is about inner peace. This is about understanding one another. This is about, again, going back to perspective. When you have that huge galactic perspective on things, you realize that everybody's just doing the best that they can. And it's funny, I'll give you a little story. Somebody once accused me of doing something, you guys know that I teach business classes, and somebody once accused me of doing something that I knew in my heart wasn't true. But what actually ended up happening was that position at that university, this was a long time ago, ended up basically believing the student, and everybody was surprised. Why didn't I defend myself? Or why didn't I say, if you didn't do it, or if you didn't, and it was nothing big. It wasn't anything like, serious. It was something like a grade or something, a grading issue. And not to get too into it, but it was something really small. But anyway, it was enough to where, the university felt like, okay, we got to take the student's side on this. And people wondered, even my wife and other people wondered, why didn't you go fight this? Why didn't you get more? All my colleagues, who knew me for years and knew I would never do anything like that, they all wondered, why didn't you fight this? Why didn't you go defend yourself? And I thought to myself, I go, I really didn't want to be there anyway. I wasn't happy there, and maybe this was the one thing that kind of kicked me in the butt to get me out of there. And now that I look back, this was many years ago. It was like 15, 20 years ago when I was very young, a young professor. I look back and I go, man, that was the best thing that ever happened to me. What's my point? Perspective. Galactic perspective. Things have a way of if you're okay with not thinking that you're always in control. As one of my favorite mentors once said, let go, let God. My one of my best mentors, Richard Pryor, let go, let God. And you understand that things are unfolding naturally and things are unfolding the way that they should. What is there to really be offended by? Pain is inevitable. Suffering is a choice. There's a huge, huge difference. So what do I mean by this thing called suffering is a choice, pain is inevitable? You see, pain, you can't get out of this life, without feeling some kind of pain. You just can't. It's impossible. You're going to have pain in life. But the suffering that comes is when you look at that pain that happens, and it's all about how you interpret that pain. So you can interpret that pain as, oh my God, why is this happening to me? Oh my God, why me? There's something wrong with me. I'm doing something wrong, and which turns into this endless, you see where I'm going with this. So stickiness versus flow. That's what this entire video is all about. That's what those three things are all about. That's how you cannot get offended by anything, anyone. And dare I say, folks, even yourself. Yes, even yourself. What do I mean by that? Even yourself. Our own thoughts about our own actions, our own life, our own memories, our own experiences, our own shortcomings, our own failings. This dude that lives inside your head is the ultimate suffering creator, suffering enabler. The dude inside your head. There is a possibility, if you look at things with a perspective, if you understand conditioning, if you understand that everybody's just trying to do the best thing that they can, what they think they should be doing. They don't mean it. Don't take things personally. Watch what happens. Your whole life will change. I promise you. Try this out. Let me know how it goes. Leave it in the comments. Say, Nez, you're completely full of shit. I don't care. I want to hear from you. Go try it out. I guarantee you, if you give me a fair shot, I guarantee you beautiful things are going to happen. Happy New Year, y'all. If you've made it this far, I'd really appreciate if you could just leave me a comment down below and make sure that you go check out my other videos. I've got tons of videos. Everything about this channel. I'm Professor Nez, your personal branding coach, mindset coach. Everything on this channel is all about mindset and messaging. If you don't get your mindset right, you can't get your message right. And if you don't get your message right, nobody's going to know who you are. Nobody's going to want to do business with you. Nobody's going to want to hire you. Nobody's going to want to promote you. Nobody's going to want to hang out with you or know who you are. So make sure that you let me know down below, what kind of videos do you want to see more from me? Do you want to see more videos about anxiety, about depression, about personal branding, messaging, mindset? Let me know down below. I love y'all.